Hello, welcome to Boyd's Carlton Classic. My name's Tom. I'm not going to bore you with a really long intro. I'll bore you throughout the video because basically we've got just over 2 weeks to get this 1967 Ford Falcon on the road, painted, finished and ready to be shown at the Winter Blast on the 30th of November. So there's a hell of a lot of work to do, and I thought maybe you might be interested in seeing how that goes. So let me show you around. So let me show you the car first of all. 1967 Ford Falcon. Really interesting car. It's obviously an American style, I guess, cruiser. In the vein of you like your Mustangs and stuff like that. Probably not quite as desirable, but for the British roads, it's a really good size. And this is basically an abandoned project. So I picked it up in a deal a little while ago, and mechanically it's good. It's got a really lovely 302 engine, which I'll show you later on when we get to doing some mechanical stuff. But what let it down was the bodywork, and it was kind of stuck in limbo because it's one of those cars that part of you wants to make a show winner, you know, spend a fortune, get it perfect, spend a fortune on paint. But it's still a Ford Falcon. You know, if it was a Mustang, it could command a, 20 grand price tag if it was perfect. But really, how much is this thing ever going to be worth? I'm not sure. So my intention really is to get it on the road. And the first thing that really needed addressing was the bodywork. So happily, it is solid. All of the welding has been done. It's all metal and done to a solid standard, albeit not aesthetically that pleasing. So it's basically been a case of sanding, filling, sanding, knocking down high spots and doing everything I can to make it look good, look all right. But I'm very realistic and very conscious of the fact that it's probably not going to be perfect. So given that it's not going to be perfect, we decided to go a different way with it. Like I say, if you're going to create a show vehicle, then the expectation is that all the panels are perfectly straight. The paint is, 2, 3, 4 stage, hugely shiny, all of that good stuff, which really costs a lot of money. You're talking 10 grand just in paint. But like I say, this thing wants to be on the road. It drives, it sounds incredible, believe me, when we get to that bit. So we're going a different route. We're going to go with the race car route. So it's got the stance. It's a cam 302, so it's got some power behind it. And if we get it one color, if we get it reasonably straight, we know it's solid, then we can make it look good. And that's a big thing for me. Boyd's Carlton Classic is about getting cars back on the road and doing it in a way that means they're not prohibitively expensive. These things are made to be driven, and that's what it wants to be done. So I'm going to crack on with some more filling and sanding and filling because at some point next week we need to get it painted. Now my good friend Joe over at Fusion Auto Paints is very kindly going to let us use his paint oven, and we're going to shoot it with single stage because that's how it would have been done originally, and it's easier, and again, we're not going for a show finish. And then after that, we're going to sprinkle a little bit of magic dust on it to make it a little bit special. So come and join us on this journey, really. I'm not a qualified mechanic. I'm an amateur in a sense. And I want to show that it's possible to take something like this, which perhaps a lot of people will be a little bit worried about tackling, and just get it back on the road, get it used, get it to shows, and enjoy a fabulous car. Okay, time to crack on, I suppose. All right, so let me show you an example of what I've been doing. So I guess this rear quarter panel is a good place to show you an example. Like I say, all of the repairs have been done. At some point, this thing has obviously been rusty, and someone has spent a huge amount of time and money. I've got reams of receipts to get it back solid. But what they didn't do is get it back particularly straight. So I've had to basically go around and sand everything, starting with sort of 80 grit to try and get down to some sort of straightness with a block. then fill, then sand, then fill, then sand, knock down high spots, and you can kind of see layers of historic filler that I've added on. We can see metal, we can see primer, we can see paint, and to try and get it as straight as possible, like I say, within the realms of what we're trying to do here. It is a laborious process. If anyone wonders why it costs so much to have a professional paint job done, it's because I've been working on this pretty much non-stop for at least 4 days now, and I'm not even close. I'm going to need another 2 days at least. Last night my good friends came around and helped me to key the paint, but I still need to go around and pick up on these last bits. So knocking down high spots, filling them in, getting them nice and straight. But you can see, whilst it looks like there's filler, there's actually metal there. It was just about getting it straight. Likewise, it's obviously had all new rockers down here, the lower part of the door panels, and again, I'm just getting those as straight as I possibly can before we go to paint. So I'm going to crack on, do some more sanding, and we'll see how we look. All right, so it's a few days later. It's from last time. I thought I would just show you where we're at, really. I think I'm at the that'll do point of paint prep, and let me just show you what it's looking like. So unfortunately there wasn't repair panels aren't available for these cars, or certainly I couldn't find them, so it's been a case of metalwork and primer, and it's not perfect. There's bits that, as I said, will never be 100%, which is why we're going down the race car route, but as well as doing the bodywork, the bits that have been repaired, there's also been some sort of imperfections in the paint where paint has reacted weirdly, so it's been a case of flattening those back and filling some small bits. Around this side I'm a little bit further ahead, so I've primed as well. Hey guys, so a couple of days forwards, it's now actually Friday, because we've had a bit of a change of plan this week, and I always say it's important to have a plan, but it's a plan to deviate from. So originally our intention was to take the Falcon over to our friends and shoot it with paint there, but I spoke to him this week and I got a sense he was really busy, and being a small business owner myself, I understand what it's like when you've just got too much on, and so I didn't want to be in an imposition. And also, I'm going to take this and make it into an opportunity. So, as I've said, I'm a really keen YouTube follower, and one of the things I like watching is people setting up a DIY spray booth in their garage or whatever it is. But it's often in the States, so they can just go, we're going to go to Home Depot and get these box fans, etc, etc. So very quickly, we had to pivot. And so yesterday was Thursday, and I've been running around getting the materials for us to build a spray booth here, and we're going to be shooting this on Monday. Again, bearing in mind it's going to be at the show on Saturday, so again, all very last minute, but it will get done. So right now I have just been priming down the side of the car, and for a couple of reasons. A couple of areas we've gone through to metal, and the second reason is that red is notoriously not great at coverage, so tonally the red oxide primer is quite similar to the red base color we've got on there. So I figure if we can level out the color so that when we paint, we don't need to throw as much paint on to try and cover over any inconsistencies in color. So I've just done that now, and yeah, we're getting perilously close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually record a separate video of me building the spray booth, because I think that's something that might be interesting to you guys, again, especially if you're in the UK and don't have availability to do the stuff that they can get in the States. So let's see how much it will cost to do that ourselves here. I need to do 3 coats of primer, and then I'm going to 800 grit all of the primer to make sure it's got a keying surface ready for us to then shoot on Monday. So Friday today, my jobs are get this ready for paint, hopefully mask it up as well, so we can then just come in and go on Monday, and also build the spray booth, which, like I say, will be in a separate video. It will either be last week or next week. I haven't quite decided which way around I'm going to do it, because we kind of want to shoot some stuff of this when it's done as well. So I'm going to crack on. I'll catch you later. All right, so the car is now primed in all the bits we needed it to be primed. We've keyed the whole car. Got my friends to help me do that last week. But obviously I now need to key the bits of primer. So I'm going to 800 grit all the primer bits to make sure they've got a good keying surface ready for the top coat, which we're going to do on Monday. And then what I'll do is wheel it outside, give it a good wash, bring it back in, and it's Sunday today, so then I'll leave it to dry overnight, and then the fun can begin tomorrow. I'm so excited to get it into paint now. So yeah, I better crack on. All right, let's get this thing clean. So as you know, I washed it, but it's still got, I didn't do a great job. I think because it was raining and horrible and windy outside. But it's all dry, and my plan is I've got a load of clean new microfiber cloths, and I'm going to use the same approach I used when I wipe my derriere, which is I'm going to just keep wiping it until the microfiber cloth comes off clean, and then you know you can stop. So, better get started. So when I've done this, what I'm going to do is mask it, and then after that, I'm going to wipe it all down with alcohol, just to make sure there's nothing, no contaminants, no sort of soaps, waxes, detergents, anything on there that might react with the paint. So yeah, wipe it like this, then I'll mask, then I'll wipe it with alcohol, and then I'll roll it into the paint booth, which I've just spent the last couple of hours getting ready. Really excited, really nervous. I'm kind of putting it off, but it'll be alright, won't it? It'll be alright. Alright, so the car is now clean, and what I want to do is basically mask off everything that we don't want to get clean on. I'm sure that's pretty obvious. So I've got a number of things. I've got some plastic, I've got some paper, I've got some self-adhesive stuff, obviously got a ton of masking paper, and I'm just going to have at it, get in there and mask off anything that we don't want to get paint on. And again, it's a bit of a laborious job. I find that, you know, the excitement of running my own custom shop, you know, the idea of it is that it's going to be all fun and games, and I'll be like Matt Armstrong going up to Monaco in these beautiful cars, but the reality is you're mostly sanding, cleaning and masking, or trying to fix broken things. It's not all glamour, but this is the life that I've chosen, and genuinely exciting. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else in my time, so let's get her masked up. So I find masking actually quite sort of relaxing, it's quite cathartic. It's kind of good thing to stick some music on and just sort of lose yourself in doing something that's quite delicate. Unfortunately, with time being as pressed as it is, it's kind of taken a little bit of the relaxation out of it, because I'm going to be painting this afternoon, which is pretty insane, but nonetheless, again, this is why I do this, right? You know, why do Boys Can't Classic if you don't get excitement out of doing the projects? And you know, let's be clear, really, I suppose the biggest motivator behind doing Boys Can't Classic is I absolutely love experiencing different vehicles. You know, I've been lucky enough to own a few. I had my first sort of classic car as a daily was a 1972 Beetle when I was in my very early 20s, I believe, and I always just went to shows and saw other vehicles and wanted to try more and to experience more and to drive more and all that kind of stuff. And you know, the greatest gift that Boys Can't Classic gives me is the opportunity to experience these vehicles and just be the custodian for, you know, a short amount of time, even if it's, you know, I've actually once had a car which, oh my goodness, I loved it. I think it was a 1968 Ford Thunderbird, probably one of my absolute dream cars. I'll try and put a picture of it up now. And I got it, bought it, and literally sold it on the same day, and it was being unloaded from the trailer, and the other trailer to take it was literally there ready to take it, and I never got to experience it. And that was a real kicker, actually, because that was one, I'd love to get another one of them. I've got a real soft spot for Thunderbirds. We will do a Thunderbird build, so I've got one. It's got quite an interesting story. I wish I was doing YouTube when I got that thing, actually, because that would have been one hell of an episode. Would be viral by now, my friends. But yeah, it's part of, if you can't love doing this stuff, then you probably don't want to be doing it. Because like I say, it's a lot of laborious, slow, boring kind of jobs. But I take satisfaction from them. So it's not all bad, is it? So I'm starting by just going round all the edges of the windows, doing all this sort of more delicate taping. And I think that I kind of prefer that bit then, because you can then kind of block it all out with like some brown paper and stuff. But for some reason I just prefer doing the more delicate stuff and put off doing the brown paper. I suppose you're supposed to do it that way anyway, but it's just the way I've always done it, is do around the edges, and then you can do the big bit in the middle there at the end when you need to block it all out. So we're probably, well, I'm working my way around the car, so you can kind of see I'm about halfway through now. Probably been about 20 minutes, I would say. Quite nice. Calm before the storm. The storm of painting the thing. But I can't tell you how excited I am to see it in colour, because we're not just doing it red. Like I say, we're going for a race car here, which was actually suggested to me by my friend Louis, who runs LMT motorcycles. I was talking to him about it. I considered selling this car as a project when I needed to get some money in. And you know, a few people looked at it, and I say, like, a lot of people were put off by what they thought the amount of work that needed to be done. And I really did want to build it, I just needed the money. But I wanted to get it done as a show car, and get it sprayed professionally and all that kind of stuff. And Louis just said to me, you know, why do that? Why don't we go for a race car? It doesn't have to be show perfect, just needs to be running, needs to look cool, and you can be creative with it. And I think that was a great idea. It really inspired me to then do it, and especially because we just did the Baja, which was in a sense a similar kind of thing. I realised we can create something really cool with it, so very excited to see what it looks like when it's done. All right, so she is masked up, clean-ish. So wiped down with alcohol. Basically now it's just a case of wheeling it into the spray booth. Tack cloth, mask up the wheels, and then we're pretty much ready to start painting. All right, she's in. I've got a fan heater on in here just to keep the temperature up because it's cold outside today, and paint doesn't like the cold. It's amazing how that little heater has really lifted the temperature in here. Like I say, we're not blessed with much lighting, but I'll just use this and move it around. But yeah, this looks like a proper paint booth, doesn't it? Awesome. I'm gonna go and mix some paint. Paint wise, I'm gonna be using a 2K direct gloss paint. It's actually Porsche Guards Red, which I think was the closest match to the car, and also because it's a Porsche car, it means it's going to go faster. So you mix 2 parts of this paint with 1 part of the hardener here, and then 15% of thinner into the pot, and then I'm going to be using this HVLP spray gun. We've got a water filter on it there to make sure no moisture gets into it. And this is what the setup we're going to be using. I've got a compressor, which cost me 150 quid second hand. This was about 50 quid. The paint was about 200 quid. We're getting on for 200 quid by the time I've included the primer that I've used. So, you know, that's amazing really if we can get a good finish out of this for just this amount of money compared to what it would have cost to paint it. Yeah, let's go for it. So you would have noticed I have a friend here. So I recruited my dear friend, Mad Danny, to come along and help me paint the car. I've never painted an entire car with a spray gun before. I've done sort of panels and little bits like that, but I was a little bit nervous about doing it myself, and also because it was dark, you'll see that I was basically following him around with a light strip, just trying to give him a view on the sort of wet edge so he could lay the paint down consistently and get a better quality finish. So yeah, we did this in an evening, and yeah, I'm eternally grateful for his help. He's a really knowledgeable guy, and I get a lot of reassurance from knowing that he will kind of be there to sort of give me advice and in this case help me lay the paint down. But having watched him, I was really, yeah, it's really amazing to watch, and I'm really sort of keen to do this myself next time. So yeah, massive thanks to Danny for his support in painting the car. So my only regret of the evening was that we both turned up wearing exactly the same outfit. So what are the blinking chances of that happening? Super embarrassing, so apologies for that. We'll make sure we coordinate our outfits in the future and don't end up wearing the same thing. Morning everyone, it is now Thursday morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. It is absolutely freezing here in the UK. It took me so long to get the frost off the car. I've never seen frost like it. It was so hard to scrape and the roads are pretty treacherous. So we've got 2 days till showtime. We painted the Falcon 2 days ago, and with it being 2K paint, you have to leave it to cure for a while before you do anything. I'm sat outside my unit sort of nervous because I haven't seen it since we painted it, and we painted it when it was in the dark and we tried to keep it warm, but I'm kind of scared about how it's come out because really this is D-Day. If the paint doesn't look great and we need to do a load more paint correction, then it's not going to make it to the show. If it looks all right, then we're still in with a chance. Whatever way, it's going to be a very busy couple of days. But yeah, I suppose we better go and see how it looks. All right, let's go and take a look. Well, it's red, that's for sure. Coverage looks good. doesn't look like there's a great deal of dust. There's a couple of bits that we knew where the gun had dripped, and there is, I don't know if you can catch it in the light, but yeah, it's quite orange peely. We had to put a lot of paint on it to get it to cover over the sort of, what's it called, the primer. But you know, I think it's not bad. You know, quite proud considering we did it in here in the dark. All right, so I've had a think about 2 minutes. That's how impulsive I am. And my thinking is I'm going to cut and polish it, see what I can do. And again, if I can get it done, who knows if we can get it at the show. So if you're familiar with the process, I'll show you a little bit about what cutting and polishing is all about. All right, so here I have my polishing guy, can't remember what it's called, car polish machine. And I have some, this is heavy cutting compounds, 1000 something grit, step 1 basically. I figure we're going to need it to be the heavy one to just start making some speedy progress, because time is not on our side. So what I'm going to do is just apply a bit of it to the pad. Bloody clogged up there with me. Cool. So I've applied a bit of the cutting compound to the pad, and then what we need to do is get it on the vehicle. So I'm going to start with the trunk, or boot as we call it here in the UK. I want to just pick one panel to see how we get on. So what you want to do to start with is to run the machine quite slowly, because you don't want to fling the stuff everywhere, go all over you and me. Get a layer of sort of the cutting compound down on the panel, give it a couple of passes on a slower speed, and then once you've done that, we then will do it on a faster speed. And we'll also, if it starts looking like it's bogging down a bit, then we'll just apply, I've got a spray of it's just water that I'll spray on it to keep it moist, to keep the polisher moving. And yeah, let's see what we can do. Okay, so that was, yeah, a couple of slow passes to put down the polish, and then 4 fast passes to see if we can cut the paint and take a bit of that orange peel off. I'm just going to give it a quick wipe with a microfiber cloth now, and we'll see what we're left with. All right, so does it still have orange peel? Yes. Does it look much better than it looked before? No, not really. Let me have a think. So the polishing didn't really do enough to cut through the paint and plan it out, so I'm gonna have a go at wet sanding. So again, I'll do a small part of the trunk and we'll see how it looks, and if that is successful, then we've got a whole car to do. So again, I think we are on the brink of deciding whether or not this is going to be ready, but I'd much rather it be good than rush it to be at the Winter Blast. You know, I like to set myself ambitious goals, but to be honest with you, I'm not sure, because I'm putting on the show as well as trying to do this, whether that is a bridge too far even for my irresponsible targets. But the dream's not over yet. Let's see what we can do. So for this, I'm going to use a DA, so it's a random orbital sander. I've got some 1500 grit paper. It's kind of hook and loop. Now you can do this by hand, and I think we will have to do elements of it by hand where there's shapes in the bodywork that will be hard to get to with the sander. But to do a test patch and then to do the large swathes of thing, my thinking is to get this done in time, we want to be using the sander. So again, what I'll be doing is using water to keep it lubricated, applying very, very little pressure, because the last thing you want to do is burn through the paint, and that's particularly prevalent at the edges where there's a risk you burn through the fine paintwork that we've done. So again, I'm going to pick a test patch, give it a couple of passes with the paints, and when it starts gliding more smoothly, we'll give it a wipe off and see how it looks, and then we can make a decision as to whether or not we want to proceed and do the whole car or go back to plan B, I suppose. So I've already got the paper wet, but let's just put a bit more wetness down for good luck. All right. It felt like it was gliding a bit more smoothly over the surface there, so what I'm going to do is just wipe it off now and see what it's done. Let's have a look at that. You can kind of see again in the light here where the orange peel is, and as we move into the bit that I've sanded, it kind of certainly feels and looks a lot smoother. Now what we will have to do, of course, is then polish this and wax this afterward to get some of that shine back in, but I think that is the direction we're going to have to go in to kind of get this paint looking, you know, again, we're not looking for a show finish, but what we want to do is make sure that it looks as good as we can possibly get it, ready for the next owner to love. So that was about a 30 centimeter square patch, took a couple of minutes. So luckily all I've got to do is the entire car, so I'll crack on. Well, I think I've admitted defeat for the winter blast. The more I'm doing this, the more I realise this paint could look really good with a bit of time. If I properly flat it all back and then machine polish it, it could look amazing. And it seems a real shame for me to rush it to get it to the show not looking perfect or not looking great. So yeah, I'm quite sad about it, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. To make a better vehicle, and you know, it'll be really amazing to have painted something here that looks really good. So I kind of want to do the best job I can, because then I'll know in the future what sort of standard I can deliver in-house. So I don't really want to compromise. So yeah, I'm going to keep on. I've done the trunk and I've done the roof. I'm going to keep on keeping on. It's probably going to take me at least today to get it all flatted back, and then tomorrow I can be polishing, and that's cool, you know. That's, who knows, it could be that I take it just painted without, I don't know, let me have a think. Bit sad. So it's Friday morning now, and I'm slowly working around the car polishing. So I've done about a quarter. I'm going to do a two-stage polish, I think. So do this, which is a heavy cutting compound, and then go around again with a sort of finishing compound. But yeah, we're getting a nice shine. Quite happy with it. And yeah, a long way to go. So that ends this episode. Feels like a good place to stop there. I made the decision that I wasn't going to take the car to the winter blast, which was really disappointing, but this is me in the future now, about a week on, with the car now completely finished pretty much, and I think it was the right decision. To get it from where it was to being in paint, in-house, and now seeing it completed, I think what we've done is created something really cool, and I think it was worth taking that extra bit of time. So thank you so much for watching this first episode of this build. I can tell you that the next episode will drop next week, and that will see the car through to completion, and we'll show you what the end product looks like. So if you've watched this far and you're keen to see how it comes out, then please do click like, subscribe, maybe hit that ding dong bell thing so that you get reminded about next week's episode, when you'll actually see this thing back out on the road and see the process that continued from where we left it off there. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very, very soon.